Good morning and welcome to the Sports Debate Show. I am your host, BA. I'm here with James J. Train Martin and Jack Hirsch. I hope, gentlemen, are doing fine this morning. I know two of us are going to be a little bit chilly. Jack, you're probably the one that's not going to be. That's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let us get to
You gotta
our
follow up.
debate.
You gotta tell them I'm in Florida. So if someone's watching the show, you're just telling them I'm not cold. I mean,
Well, you're in Florida. Okay. There you go. You can mention that, so
Yeah.
you just did. So there you go.
I mean, Jack, you got to be a goofball to not know you're in some southern region looking at you in a T-shirt with the
Right,
background there.
T-shirt with the background, sunny, the trees are green. I mean, come on.
but
Anyway.
to be fair, yes, an exact location probably is good for the people to know. But I wouldn't want nobody knowing exactly where I'm from. So,
Right. Anyway, getting to the debate questions, we got some good ones for you today. We're going to start off with football because that's going to be the emphasis this weekend. Coaching shuffles are going on, and here's one that I kind of found amusing, actually. Would it make sense for Buffalo Bills to hire Philip Rivers to be their next head coach instead of any other available candidates? I'm going to give this one to you, Jack, since you had a question out there for you.
yeah, it definitely would make sense. I don't want to hear no coaching experience. You're playing quarterback in the NFL all those years. You mean to tell me you don't know offense as well as any offensive coordinator? You have to break down defenses. You mean to tell me you won't know defenses as well as any other defensive coordinator? You've been a leader. When you're a quarterback all those years, a great quarterback like Philip Rivers, you're a leader. You're a leader the way a coach is a leader. You understand the game the way a coach does. I mean, what does he have to do? Have an initiation, sit in on coaches' meetings, become an assistant, and go through what he's gone through all along? I mean, what's going to make him smarter if he becomes an assistant coach? I mean, nothing in reality. And Philip Rivers has the personality. Look at the people that the Buffalo Bills are interviewing right now. And don't tell me they're better than Philip Rivers. You have someone like Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn, who didn't succeed when he was the coach of the Chargers, and he wasn't even going to start Justin Herbert. He was going to sit him behind Tyrod Taylor. That should give you an idea about his judgment. You have Mike McDaniel, who's a candidate. He just got fired from the Miami Dolphins because he couldn't get the job done. So you're going to hire him. You're going to hire Brian DeBall. You're going to bring him back. What's he going to do for you? What he did for the New York Giants? That these guys are wiser because they fell on their face in their first head coaching job. So now you're going to recycle them. And there are a couple of other names as well. I mean, what do you have to lose with Philip Rivers? I don't want to hear a Jeff Saturday comparison. Jeff Saturday is a what can I don't want to insult him because he seems to be a good guy, but he wasn't up to the task. I mean, he was like some guys have good fronts. You put a microphone in front of them, they talk, they sound good, like they can handle, a coaching position. They come in for an interview. Oh, they sound real good during the interview. What they're going to do, they have a proposal, a plan. Everyone knows what the plan is. You don't have to test them what they do in this situation, that situation. You know what Philip Rivers is about. And listen, and this means little, but it means something. Coaching a high school team means he has a love of coaching. I mean, the experience factor between high school and the NFL is like night and day. I'm not comparing that, but it shows he has a desire to coach. And it's something he said at Indianapolis at the end of the season. He'd like to coach in the league, somewhere that he really feels he can handle it. You take a shot with Philip Rivers because all the candidates out there, you look at them, they don't look any more appealing. And also, last but not least, he'll have a kinship with Josh Allen. Great quarterback to great quarterback. He'd be someone that Josh Allen could lean on for advice. And Philip Rivers has a great personality. He'd have a non-threatening personality in that sense, and the players will respect him. When you've done it on the Philip Rivers level, the Hall of Fame level, and he'll be a Hall of Famer some year, there's that certain amount of respect that he's going to bring to the organization and to the players.
Go ahead, James.
So, Jack, yourself, me, and B should get together and make films because you can write the biggest fantasy stories that would stand the test of times, man. And that's true fantasy to say that a guy can go directly from quarterback. Mind you, there's some high school coaching level, but there's a distinct difference between high school and college into the pros. It's just there's just intricate details. There's levels to this, literally and figuratively. There's no way that he should be putting his name into the pool. Philip Rivers putting his name into the pool of coaching hires tells me, which I will agree with you, that the level of coaches that are available, the candidates, are not that good. Once you get past Harbaugh and Stefanski, it really drops. It drops significantly. I just think that there's no, as a head coach, not coordinators, as head coaching. And to have his name in the mix, I think if he was black, it'd be the Rooney Rule. I just think that you're just allowing him in because it's cool to add somebody else into the mix. That job is, I mean, they shouldn't have fired, Sean McDermott. That was the problem right there. You got rid of a relatively young 51-year-old guy, 66 record, 98 and percentage winning, and 98 wins and 50 losses. I mean, they just battled a divisional round. The only thing you really that you can have a knock on him is not getting to the Super Bowl with the quarterback right now. I still think they have opportunity. I think the window is still open. I think they jumped the gun a little too soon. And now you're in a situation where, I mean, if you're going to do that when another big name is coming. You know, when you're looking for another big name coming, there's nobody now. And now you're scrambling. And it looks goofy. It looks even more goofy to add Philip Rivers' name to the mix. That's just embarrassing, to say that you're going to get a guy that has no experience. He's gotten to the second round in high school in the playoffs. Whoop-de-doo, man. I'm not sold on that. This is the guy that you're trying to get to the Super Bowl. You're going to say you're going to put him in the mix? You got a team you got a quarterback that's still in his prime, and you want to put a coach in, that former quarterback who just came off playing, and now you want to put him in to see a potential candidate to take Sean McDermott's place? That's goofy. That's really goofy. I think this job is for Joe Brady. He's going to come up. That's the best possible candidate that you can salvage right now. Someone who already knows the offense and who already knows the team, who has a relationship with Josh Allen, and you go forward from there and you try to salvage what you can. But again, it's just stupid because I think they shouldn't have fired the original coach in the first place. And I feel bad for Philip Rivers because, I mean, he's only doing what he wants to do, do in the situation and get fulfill his aspirations of being a head coach, looks like. But that's not going to happen. There's no way.
So you feel let me get this straight, that if Philip Rivers was black under the Rooney Rule, you're saying he should be hired as the Bill coach. That's what you're saying. No, I'm being sarcastic. Well, let me finish. Of course, I'm twisting the words around, and I know I'm being manipulative, just like James was when I made it clear I'm not comparing the high school to the NFL, and it shouldn't be compared. I just said he had a love of the game, but of course, James completely twisted it around, so I'm going to twist around what he said because he mentioned the Rooney Rule. So I'm going to go on record the same way James went on the record as saying, well, if Philip Rivers are black, then I support him getting the job. Of course, that's ridiculous. James didn't say that. But like he twisted my high school thing. I couldn't let it go. I'm twisting his thing. So now we're even on that remark, and I feel I could forgive him a lot easier, to clear the air on that. Joe Brady. Joe Brady wasn't his job in jeopardy at some point last year because he wasn't getting as done as the offensive coordinator, and now you want him to be the head coach. Wasn't Joe Brady let go by the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken? That it didn't quite work out there.
Mm-mm.
I mean,
Joe Brady, I believe he was head coach in Carolina, and
Carolina.
for 1 year, for 1 year, and it didn't work out.
I'm sorry, right? It didn't work out. Right. Now I recall. I'm sorry for that. Thanks for correcting me. My point is, you don't have much to lose with Philip Rivers being the head coach compared to the other candidates. So you're saying Joe Brady knows offense better than Philip Rivers?
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt, Philip Rivers no one knows offense better than quarterbacks. No one knows.
So Joe Brady has had the experience of offensive coordinating LSU in 2019 when they won the championship with Joe Burrow. He obviously went on to coach after that. That didn't work out, like I said, but he's had serious runs with Buffalo. And so I just think that I would want the guy that's in the building that already has a relationship and actually knows the offense. It's his offense. He implemented what's going on. I mean, why would you even change that by bringing in another coach that's probably going to want to implement his own offense? I'm pretty sure if Philip Rivers comes in, he's going to want to change that.
You have a hard and set rule. Unless someone has coached in the NFL, they can't coach. Well, what if I threw this name at you, James? Peyton Manning. Let's say Peyton Manning wanted to be
different.
The next head coach of the Buffalo. Why is it different?
Because there's evidence of what he's done and what he was allowed to do in regards to the play calling and play changing while he was a player himself. And there's championship pedigree there too as well. So Philip Rivers, if let's just say Philip Rivers had the same way he was able to change play. I'm pretty sure he did and he was able to call plays, and they had a set of plays that he was allowed to change and call and audible and different things like that. Again, they had X amount of teams. They had like great teams that Philip Rivers was on, and then they could never get to the Super Bowl, man. They could never get there. I can't just blame him. It's a team game.
Josh Allen.
I'm just saying, yes, maybe they can get over the hump. They got to make some other. No. I'm not going to compare Josh Allen's team to Philip Rivers' 14 with LaDainian Tomlinson and the rest of that team. That team was legit. That team should have beat the Patriots, but they didn't. They did not. And so you had an MVP in your running back, and Philip Rivers was a dog. You had your tight end. You had that defense with Sean Merriman and everybody else on that team. There's just no way they should have lost that game, but they did. It's just they got out. I mean, I would say they got out coached with Marty Ball too. So, but Marty didn't change the plays, but that's besides the point. I just, and I get it from a standpoint. Let's just say Philip Rivers was given a job in college to do that. I'd be okay with that. I think there's levels to everything. The unicorn would be Peyton Manning. You mentioned that name. I would give you that. I would give you that unicorn and say, yes, I'd give him that opportunity. Like you said, Jeff Saturday was just terrible. That didn't make any sense at all. Not at all. I agree with you. And it's just like, no, especially if I'm winning, if I'm starting from ground up, maybe if I'm going to put Jeff Saturday or somebody like or Philip Rivers in, if we're starting from ground up with nothing, but you already got something in place, you're going to really break it up. And I don't know, like I said, I'd rather go with the guy in the house. That's the offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, or another competent. I just don't see anybody else right now. It's got to be the guy. That don't make any sense. It's got to be the guy inside the building.
Yeah, to both of your quarterbacks. Heck to the no. When we put Brady, I don't care how good Peyton Manning is. No, he's got to start somewhere too. Philip Rivers has got to start somewhere. Whatever the case may be, And yes, I would agree that Joe Brady is the candidate for that position because he's been with the team. He's been offensive coordinator for 2 years. And the reason why a lot of people get on Brady is because of the fact that GM doesn't give him any weapons either. That's another thing. But they're doing just fine getting to the playoffs without him. And that's a testament to Joe Brady. So I think Joe Brady should be the head coach of that team. He was, like you said, he was the passing coordinator for LSU, a passing coordinator and wide receivers coach for LSU. Then he went to Carolina to be offensive coordinator. So he's gone up the ranks. And in fact, when he went to Buffalo, he was a quarterbacks coach. He was an interim offensive coordinator when they got rid of Dable. So, I mean, the dude's got his pedigree. Phillip Rivers, no. Hell no. No, and no. Peyton Manning, no, and no. I don't care how good Peyton Manning is. I just can't. No, I'm not buying it. You got to go through the ranks. There's differences. There's differences of coaching and playing. Okay, that's why we have coaches, and that's why we have players. So I mean, you can mature into being a coach as a player, but you have to go through the rigmarole to go through that situation. So I just, nobody coming off the street, and whatever Irsay did with Saturday, that was nuts. But that was reaching. That was a straw. You know what I'm saying? I just no.
No Saturday on Sundays.
But if you surround yourself with the right people, look at other sports, and I'm not certain. I don't believe J.J. Redick ever coached, did he, before he became the Lakers head coach? And he's doing a good job with the Lakers because they surrounded him with the right people.
Coached before that?
No, I think he's right. I think there may have been some assistant jobs. I'm not sure. But I think you're right, Jack, though. He's never been a head coach prior to that job. I know that for sure.
And I mean, the last time he played was in 2021 with the Mavericks, and then he became a coach in 2024. I mean, basketball and football are two different sports too. There's a lot of moving parts in football compared to what basketball is. Okay, and you always got to have the right mix of coaches. And right now, it'd be great if you just had an offensive coordinator you were looking at. Now, see, I might consider Phillip Rivers for an offensive coordinator or even a passing coordinator. But a coach is a big leap, and that's a big responsibility. And Phillip Rivers, I don't know if I could put him as head coach because he does have he's got a fiery attitude. I mean, he done cusses out other players out, other opponents when he's playing. So you see how smart ass he can be when he's on the field. I don't know, but I don't think he just translates to a head coach at this point. I'm not saying he can't be one. I think he needs to be groomed. I think with Peyton Manning, I think the groom is less. I think that you could just throw him in there as an offensive coordinator for a moment or a passing coordinator, and he would get it done. But I just don't think that Phillip Rivers is in that mode at the moment. I think he needs more tuning up to be a head coach. So way more tuning up.
Let him carry a clipboard on the sideline next to the head coach for 1 year. Stand next
to
him.
Intern. Be an intern. If they really serious about making him a head coach or any kind of coaching person, let him be an intern for a while. That wouldn't work for him because he needs money. But anyway, well, Dave Canales had some coaching experience too. Let's not get out of here.
Okay, we can move on from this.
Yeah. So the next one is of the 4 starting quarterbacks for Sunday's conference game, which one is under the most pressure to perform well? Go ahead.
With me? Yeah.
James.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yes. So, I'm not going to pick Matthew Stafford because I think Matthew Stafford has won a Super Bowl. There's when you look at someone's career, how one builds up a resume. He's like a tough dude. He's an Iron Man, and he's had many tough years in Detroit, and he's been there like pretty much their like Jack says legacy player, and he was the franchise there. And so when he went to LA, got him a championship, and I believe that was in 21, right?
Hmm.
2021, yeah, 2021 season. Matthew Stafford has solidified himself as one of the all time greats, and so is there any pressure for him to win another one? No, no. I think he's built up a Hall of Fame career, and he's done well. Now, looking to the next guy, we're talking uh, between Jarrett Stidham. To me, it's. I mean, Jarrett Stidham. Wait, who's the other quarterback? Oh, Drake May. There's no pressure yet. Drake May is he's the MVP candidate, but he's got a whole career ahead of him and more opportunities to try to win a championship. So if he went, this is his second year in the league. So there's no pressure to win one now. I mean, he could apply the pressure on himself if he wants, but I think he has time, and he's not injury prone. He's got a great coach that's in place. He's got a young, pretty much a young team. So I think they have a window, and it's not going to be it's not going to be Jarrett Stidham either, because I think there's a lot of one can say a lot of pressure will be applied to him because he's coming in. He hadn't played since 2023, but he's a backup. He's a backup player. He can only do what he can do. The pressure to me is Sam Darnold. It's Sam Darnold because you have this team that you've been put in charge of, and it's right now to me it's the best team in the league. It's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're great on offense, they're great on defense, and they're great in special teams, and they're really good in coaching. The question remains is, can Sam Darnold get past those moments if he's put in a position where they're playing the Rams and it's a tie game or it's overtime and the game is dependent on Sam Darnold? Can he put it on his shoulders and say, I'm going to go and lead you to the win, to this win, this victory. We're going to the Super Bowl. I know the whole team is a team effort, and it's a great team that we have right now. And we've seen success with Rashid Shaheed when he ran a 95-yard kickoff return against San Francisco in the first beginning of the game. We've seen Kenneth Walker take over a game, when he was running against that same team as well. But if it's on Sam Darnold's shoulders, as like I said last year when he was with Minnesota and they turned it around for his career, he folded in the last two games. Will he do that again this year? And I'm waiting on that. I believe that I'm picking them already to win the Super Bowl in Seattle, but the pressure is definitely on him to not turn the ball over or make any boneheaded mistakes or to revert to what he was. If pressure like Burst and Fisk and the other guy Young, I think that's who it is, number 0. If that defensive line breaks Seattle's offensive line and get pressure on him, that's where you see the problems with Sam Darnold making boneheaded mistakes, is when he gets a lot of pressure in his face and he can't handle it. So I think that, to me, the pressure is going to be on Sam Darnold to stand in the pocket and not make mistakes and deliver the ball and deliver a victory if needed. I think they don't really need him as much. They just need him to protect the ball and keep and don't make any boneheaded turnovers, because the rest of the game looks like the rest of the team looks like it's solidified and ready to win.
I don't get James's attitude. No pressure. All quarterbacks under a lot of pressure. You're one game away from the Super Bowl. To say Drake May's under no pressure, there's no
But that's not the
guarantee he's going
question
to get
that you
this spot.
posed, Jack.
No, 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 no. I know that's not the question posed, but I have to correct that. Everyone's under a lot of pressure when you're one game away from the Super Bowl. You can't take anything for granted. So, which quarterback is going to be under the most pressure to perform? Sam Darnold's a reasonable answer. I'm not going to knock that answer. We've heard the knock on him. He's got to get over the top. But then again, how many big games has he been in? How long has he been a starting quarterback for in meaningful games? I don't count his tenure with the Jets. they didn't really play meaningful games, for him to be under pressure in any particular game. He was last year with the Vikings, and he came up empty the last couple of games. I realized that, and that magnifies things this year. Drake May, it's a great year for the Patriots no matter what, but Drake May's under pressure because if you don't win this game against the Bronco backup quarterback, it doesn't look that good. If Drake May is going to be this super player for the Patriots going forward, he's got to take them to Super Bowl right now. So he's definitely under pressure that way. Matthew Stafford, yeah, he's still under pressure because there's a difference between winning 2 Super Bowls and winning 1. As far as his legacy goes, Stafford's going to be a Hall of Famer without question. But it would be not much nicer if you could point that you've won 2 instead of 1. Guy, believe it or not, under the most pressure is Jarrett Stidham. I don't want to hear, excuse me, that he's a backup quarterback. That, he could play loosey-goosey. No, he's got to play exceptionally well for the Broncos to win this game. And he's under more pressure because of the fact he hasn't thrown a pass since 2023. He might be put in a spot where he has to go out to win the game for the Broncos, lead them on a big drive. It's not just playing it conservative and safe and handing the ball off. The Broncos can't play an ultra-conservative game on offense. They just can't. They're going to have to generate points. You can't count on turnovers in your defense manufacturing points. All you could do is count on your defense stopping the other team so they don't score. But where are you going to get the points from? Jarrett Stidham is not used to playing quarterback for the Denver Broncos in a regular season game. This is new territory for him. It's like walking into a new job. Who's under more pressure to perform? The guy walking into the new job, he's kind of like nervous. He's going to be taking the field. All eyes of the Denver Broncos are going to be on him, his teammates, the fan base. He's the guy. He's got to respond. So I'm going to sum up. All 4 quarterbacks are under a lot of pressure because they're 1 game away from the Super Bowl. But I think it's going to be more on Jarrett Stidham because of his circumstance.
Let me say something, B, before you get there. There's no way that Jarrett Stidham has the most pressure on him because they know who he is. Everyone knows who he is. The coach knows who he is. This is a situation you just got to not take. At the same thing with Darnold. You got to take care of the ball. Don't put. They're not going to put him in a position to where the ball is on his shoulders. You know what the pressure is for Denver? The pressure is on that defense. It's going to be on the defense because they know they don't have a great running game, and you don't have Bo Nix in the game. So we got to put more pressure on us as a defense to generate more turnovers, to give him more opportunities. So it's not going to be on the quarterback. It's going to be on that defense to do more things.
Well, we're talking about the quarterback. But, James, let me throw this at you. Who has the most to lose? If Matthew Stafford plays a bad game, he's the Rams starting quarterback next year without a doubt. If Drake May plays a bad game, he's the Patriots starting quarterback next year without a doubt. If Sam Darnold plays a bad game, there's no one out there that Seattle's going to get to replace him next year. He's the Seattle starter next year. If Jarrett Stidham plays a bad game, he might not even be back as the backup next year for Denver. So look at how it affects his career. This is Stidham's chance, if he plays a great game and gets him into the Super Bowl, to become actually a starter in the league somewhere, perhaps.
The pressure is definitely on Sam Darnold. If Darnold blows it, this would be the biggest letdown, and this will definitely put him back into regression mode, and put him to a situation where he may not get another opportunity like this. He may not get it. I mean, it worked out great.
Next year, but they're not getting another quarterback. Seattle, they're not replacing Darnold. Next year, there's no one out there to replace him with.
There's always somebody out to replace you.
Who do you want? Justin Fields? Just someone to come over to Seattle? Come on.
Well, they drafted a quarterback. They might put the guy in that they drafted behind him.
Milroe's awful, the quarterback. Drew Lock's behind them. and Jalen Milroe from Alabama, that would be a disaster. Yeah, third. He's a third stringer, Milroe. He
I'm
could
not
do
saying
that.
I'm not saying he's going to be the starter, and nor am I going to say that Sam Darnold's going to mess up the situation. But you could get Daniel Jones. I mean, I'm just saying you can get. I'm not saying that Darnold is on a level that he should not be picked as the quarterback, but I'm saying he can't afford to mess up like he did last year. He can't. Not with this team. Because how
If
many
that,
opportunities are you going to get with this type of team to get to the Super
I'm
Bowl?
just going to say the last thing on the matter. If that happened and Seattle moved on from Darnold and they got Daniel Jones next football season, I could see you and Brian saying, "Oh, Seattle never should have moved on from Sam Darnold the way the Vikings did."
Anyway, I'm not going to be playing Nostradamus here, but anyway, I think I'm going to have to agree with Jack. I think that Stidham is the guy that's got the most pressure on him. Yeah, he's Peyton's guy. He's a backup quarterback. Dude hasn't played since 2023. He's playing in one of the biggest games Denver has. You might say the defense has the most pressure on it, but no, the offense has got to move the ball. He's got to get the ball to people. I mean, he can't just keep handing off to Harvey all day. That's not going to happen. He has to make some throws in that game. It is a conference championship. There is a lot on the line for Denver. See, if Denver doesn't get to it, that's going to be a problem because New England's in it. I'm sure you could attest to a lot of New England fans. They didn't think they were going to make it this far. They knew they were going to be a good team, but they didn't think they were going to make it this far. Okay, LA was Stafford. It's Stafford. Okay, he's an MVP along with May. Sam Darnold, yeah, he's got his little quirks, but if they lose that game and it's not on Sam Darnold, then I don't see the pressure being on Sam Darnold as much as Stidham. I think it should be on him, but it's not as much as Stidham. I think it's a 1A, 1B situation. But Stidham, he's coming in there cold. Practice-wise, he's practiced with first team for about the last week. But, I mean, he hasn't done anything else for the whole season. He's been a backup. That's about it. And, if he goes down, they got Eleanor. They're going to be screwed. So, Denver is just not – it's going to be tough for Stidham. He's going to have to come in there and play Captain Saver. So, I don't know if he can do that. He hasn't shown me anything in his past history that he can. And they're going against – New England's defense is not a bad defense. Okay, let's not get that twisted. New England's got a really good defense too. And they have a comparable offense. They can move the ball down the field. Now, I know that Denver has some very good corners. They have a good front line. They're going to have to know how to attack them. They're going to probably have to start with the running game. But other than that, I don't think that May is under any pressure either because he's just – they didn't think New England was going to get to that point anyway. So it would be a good season if they lost to Denver. But, but if Denver beats them, that would be a testament to Stidham. Stidham has to go through that, like James said, with no turnovers. And that's the key for both of those quarterbacks. No turnovers. It's a key for all four quarterbacks, really, to tell you the truth. It's whoever doesn't turn the ball over as a quarterback. But Stidham, I can't ride with the fact that he's not the one with the most pressure right now. He's just not. He's dude. 2 years, you've been a backup. You haven't really performed well when you had the chance to perform. I mean, under circumstances where you were at, true, but at the same time, you didn't do it. And now, I mean, I know you're Peyton's guy, but now you're putting in a conference championship game. Come on, that's a lot of pressure to put on a quarterback. So I just think he just has it, just in a moment type of pressure. Anyway, let's go to our next question here. Going to the NBA, when it is all said and done, who will have the greater NBA career, Zion Williamson or Jay Morant? We'll go with James on this one because Zion is his guy in the Pelicans there.
So Zion Williamson is pretty mercurial at this point. Both these guys are. I mean, for different reasons. One can't keep a sandwich out of his hand. The other can't keep a gun out of his hand. I mean, it's just it's just goofy stuff, man. Just like why why are we doing this? I mean, supreme talents on both guys. Both guys
Mhm.
are highly talented and generational. I mean, they were picked at their levels for a reason. And Zion has played maybe 244 games total in his career up to this point, and that's not good. It's just really not good, especially you're paying a guy X amount of dollars. I mean, millions, hundreds of millions of dollars to play basketball, to play a game, and you just can't stay healthy, man. It's just I don't know. It's just it's. I'm gonna say between the two, because I know we're not pressed for time, but I think it's easy to look at this and say who would have the better career. It's gonna
Mhm.
be Ja Morant. I think Ja Morant, a change of scenery for him is gonna work wonders. I don't know if you can't change the diet habits and the constant injuries of a player like Zion Williamson. That's the issues for him. Otherwise, I'd give it to him. I mean, because he averages when he plays, he averages 24 points a game, man, 24.5, and he's just dominant when he plays. But someone of his magnitude, the size and how his body contortions and moves and it's just it's destined to be injury prone. He's like 6'4", I'm sorry, 6'6", and he's like two almost sometimes upwards close to 300 pounds. That's too much. And I mean, even when he loses weight, he's down to like 240 or something like that. So he's gonna always be a big guy, but he has to be in phenomenal shape. And even when he does, it's either a hamstring or something going on. It's going to be tough. That's going to follow him. That you can't. That started in college. Is going to continuously be in throughout the pros. So I don't know. I hope whoever chooses him, they obviously will have to put some certain clauses in his contract to say, hey, this is how we're going to pay you. You don't need to be incentive based. And I just think that let me see. But I
Mhm.
mean, of the two, because I think Ja is it's just he just needs a change of scenery and some other stuff going on, and and probably need somebody like they talk about trading him to New Orleans. That was rumored. Joe Dumars would probably work great with him as well, and to get him in line. But other than that, the talent is still there, and he's not as injury prone as Zion. So I'm going to go with Ja Moran on that
Yeah, I remember when they came out of the draft. I mean, Zion went one, Jay Morant went two. I mean, Zion was the consensus pick, but I remember Max Kellerman saying, Morant would be a great consolation prize. The team that doesn't get to go number one, that's forced to take Morant at number two, it could work out really well for them. And in a way, you could look at it in that sense. But you were funny with your line. I mean, Zion Williamson, it's easy to envision him with this big bag of chips on the couch while, another player's in the gym or with his nutritionalist. Yeah, I mean, we know that about Zion. He's not going to change. You can't you can't change desire. That's got to come from the player. You can't force it on him. And Jay Moran is like a ticking time bomb as far as I'm concerned. To his credit, he's kept out of trouble recently. Okay, to his credit, because I think he probably has a big team around him that's on his back every moment, and he also understands Moran to an extent. You can only push the envelope so far. But you change Morant's environment, you trade him to a new city, a new town. It's like letting the bird out of the cage. Don't expect him to come back to the cage necessarily. You don't know what's going to go down with Morant, at any moment. He reminds me a little Pac Man Jones. Pac Man Jones did get it together and finally, salvage his career at the end. But he was a ticking time bomb the whole time. But I'm going to answer this question. When all is said and done, I think it's going to be Zion Williamson, despite himself. I don't think Zion Williamson fakes injuries. I think he genuinely gets injured because maybe a lack of conditioning. And maybe it's not the conditioning. But I think Zion could give you great spurts. I don't think he's going to, I think he's going to, the Pelicans are going to move on from Zion at some point. It's probably sooner rather than later. They have to. He's not a long term solution with the Pelicans, but I could see Zion going to a team like the Knicks, the Sixers, or whatever, and really playing great for a year two, winning an NBA championship, and forming a legacy. I could see Morant compiling better stats in the long term. But I think the perception is going to be when all is said and done that Zion is going to be winding up with a better career at the end because I think he's going to reach a higher point than Morant is, and I don't think and I wouldn't bet against Morant being on the news for a non-basketball issue going forward. Unfortunately, I hope I'm wrong on that, and I'm not predicting that, but let's be honest about it. Morant's had his off the court issues. So I'm going to go with Zion. I think the talent is finally going to hit a certain peak at some point.
I just say this: Zion Williamson is either a hamstring or a ham sandwich, but at least you could do this. You could put somebody in front of his face, like what's his name? The no guy and just slap food out of his hand. No. Just sit there and do that and be his dietitian. Zion Williamson can get it done. His thing is just that he has to have willpower in certain things. Okay. Zion just has to have willpower. If he can cut his diet down, those are things that can be done, and make you a better player. And he needs somebody in his ear to do that. He needs a mentor, and to get him back to his shape and playing. Because when he's out on the floor, let's not say he's a dominant player. I don't think nobody can say that he isn't. When he's out on the floor, he's a dominant player. Yeah, he might get hurt. That's because of his weight fluctuating all the time. That happens with your body. But he needs to stop eating. If he stops eating and gets to a regiment, he's fine. Jay Morant, on the other hand, there's that phrase, you can take you could take the dude out the hood and can't, take the hood out the dude, you know what I'm saying? That's going to transfer to wherever he goes. He's that kind of guy. That's just all there is to it. All right.
The crazy thing is he's not from the hood. That's what's the problem.
But that's what I'm trying to allude to. He's living his fantasy life, and that usually when you have that perception in your mind, no change of venue is going to change that perception in your mind. And I don't know if he's going to go to the extreme where he's going to have a case on him. Okay, Jack, I don't know about that, but he's going to be trouble for any team that gets him. He's a great player. Let's not get that twisted either. He's another great player when he's out there on the court and he's focused. But the point is, are you going to be willing to deal with that riffraff off the court and have an incident that might even happen on the court? You don't even know. Okay, he could be one of those athletes that it's going to hit the right thing and he's just going to go overboard with that. So I think Zion Williamson has a higher ceiling just because of the fact that you can correct those problems if somebody is willing to step in and be his mentor and get him away from all the food, get him back into the focus that he needs to be in. I think a mentor would be good for Zion Williamson. I don't know why nobody has stepped up and said, look, dude, I'll be, or maybe they have, and maybe he hasn't rejected. I don't know. But the point of the matter is that's an easier thing to cure than somebody's mentality. And that's why I think Zion Williamson will be a little bit better player. I don't know. They're both, like I said, they're both good players. But anyway, it's to be seen. I think it's just more easier to fix Williamson than it is Morant. Morant needs like a lot of therapy. Anyway, last question. Zeke blames Michael Jordan for his omission from the Dream Team, but some blame Isaiah for Detroit Pistons trading away Adrian Dantley. Isaiah denies being behind the trade. Do you believe him? You know what? I'm going to give it to Jack on this one because he likes to stir up trouble.
I'm going to quote Scottie Pippen. I don't believe anything Zeke says. I mean, I know he's James's guy. I understand that. James is going to, cop out by saying, I root for the little guy, meaning because Isaiah's small but come on. Who believes Isaiah? we know this. Adrian Dantley couldn't stand Isaiah Thomas. And I'm interested when James and myself have done your comment on this, Brian, the background. Adrian Dantley despised Isaiah Thomas. He said that's the one guy he can't stand. He didn't like his ways. And Isaiah Thomas once called a team meeting. He asked each guy how they should be accountable. And that was a team of leaders, the Pistons. And Adrian Dantley's figuring, what are you calling the meeting? I don't have to answer to you. One of those. And notice how the deal was made, who it was made for. Who was Isaiah's best friend in the NBA, if not in life? Mark Aguirre. Mark Aguirre. They traded Adrian Dantley for Isaiah's best buddy. And Isaiah in the beginning said, he denied it, said, I'm so insulted anyone would even think I'm behind the deal. And then he came up with the words praising Jack McCluskey, the Piston GM, saying, but I think he made a hell of a deal. One of your teammates just got traded away, and you're going to say, I think we made a hell of a deal trading away so-and-so. And it's hard to believe the way Isaiah interjected himself in things that he had nothing to do with it at all, didn't speak with the Piston front office about what's going on with Adrian Dantley, or at the very least, he was advocating for Mark Aguirre, saying, well, we have some guys we could maybe trade for him, and maybe mention Dantley's position that he played. I'm a believer in this karma stuff. What goes around comes around. And it's interesting that, Adrian Dantley was traded during the year the Pistons first won an NBA championship, the Bad Boy Pistons. He was traded during the season. I wonder whether he ever got a ring or not. I don't know whether you know that, Brian, because he was there part of the year. So he missed out on those championships. But then again, Adrian Dantley was on the gold medal Olympic team, United States team in 1976, and Isaiah was on the boycotted team at 80. And of course, we know about the Dream Team, him not being on that, so he never got that Olympic gold medal. But, it happened later to Isaiah Thomas. Whether it was his fault or not with the Dream Team, I don't want to go there. We've debated that before. But there was another elephant in the room, and that was Michael Jordan. Even if Jordan himself never said a word negatively to anyone officially about Isaiah, we know Jordan's presence played a role in Isaiah not being on the team, because even if it was just perception, Jordan would hate the idea of Isaiah being on the team, and a number of other guys as well. Everyone knew, the relationship with Dantley and Isaiah was poison. Okay, it was really bad. Okay, and Dantley was always very open about it. Maybe Isaiah a little less open about it. And the people in Detroit, again, I believe fully Isaiah was behind it, knowing his history, how he acted. And I want to hear from James, and I especially, no offense, James, I especially want to hear from Brian, only because he's a Detroit guy. So that's really in his wheelhouse more than you and I. So what do you have to say, James?
Well, everyone has to be culpable in this situation. I mean, I see the question, do you blame Isaiah for the Detroit Pistons trading away Adrian Dantley? I think to a lesser degree, he has some part in it, but ultimately I'm going to blame not him. I'm not going to blame Adrian Dantley. I'm going to blame the front office of the Pistons. I'm going to blame the team that had a running gun offense, yet traded for a guy that in his first 4 years got traded to 4 different teams until he made it to Utah Jazz and had 7 good years with them and led the league in scoring twice. But Adrian Dantley did not fit the style of offense and run and gun that they had. He was more of a guy that hogged the ball. He had his back turned towards the ball, and he would shoot the ball. He could score, but he was a volume guy. He needed the ball in his hands, and that didn't suit the offense, especially when you have a talent like Isaiah Thomas, So of course they're going to bump heads. Great players like that, if they're the alpha dog, they're going to bump heads. They talk about chemistry is not working. Yes, it didn't work because you had the wrong guy in the wrong system. Nothing against Adrian Dantley's talent. Is purely he was talented. He was there, but he was in the wrong system. And again, there was questions about whether or not he had a bad attitude as well. He's just a guy that spoke his mind. He didn't mind saying how he felt. It wasn't about the team. Sometimes it was about I. So I mean, great players like that are going to have some level of selfishness. So of course he had some selfish tendencies. I'm pretty sure Isaiah did too as well. But Isaiah was a point guard, so he knew with the running gun the way it worked, you got to have everybody involved. Even Joe Dumars said when he left, I got more shots. I got more shots. So when they traded him. And so you bring in a guy, of course, is it Isaiah's friend, Mark Aguirre? Sure, it's his friend. But he got a guy in that became an enforcer and a great defensive player there for them as well. And when Mark Aguirre was gone, I'm sorry, they won a championship without him. I mean, it's not like, okay, I can see them losing and not getting there. Then you could question about whether or not was it a good idea to trade him away to the Dallas Mavericks. But they won not only one, but two championships without him. So I'm thinking it was the right move. Chuck Daly wanted him going to, because he just became a malcontent. I mean, when he lost some of his minutes and he lost, I mean, they had to change the game up. To me, that's a selfish player. If you play the game and if, it's not your team. First of all, you're getting older. You're the older guy of everybody, and so you got to wane a little bit, man. I mean, I understand you were great at one point, but and you were a great player on this team, but it just didn't mesh well with their system. So I don't blame Isaiah. Is he culpable for some things? Yes. But ultimately, I blame the front office for picking the wrong guy and putting him in your system because you were desperate and you needed somebody to help them win. So I'm going to go with the Pistons. I'm not blaming, like I said, I don't blame the players. I blame the front office of the Pistons, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, my view of the situation, I wouldn't put the word blame on anybody. Pistons just saw that a person did not work in their system and let him go. Adrian Dantley was a conflicted person. He wanted the star role in Detroit. This is the reason why him and Isaiah had a lot of conflicts a lot of times, because he wanted to be the man. He thought he was a better player than Isaiah, which to a point he can be scoring wise, but Isaiah was a complete team player. The whole thing, and he also had clashes with Chuck Daly on the court. He had clashes with Jack McCloskey, the general manager, to be a focal point in the offense. And that just, when you sit there and you complain constantly about that kind of stuff, nobody wants to hear that every day. And you're not doing, I mean, it's not part of your offense. And Chuck Daly was probably the one that initiated this, because he's the one that's got to deal with that player. And Chuck Daly said, look, I can't deal with this dude every day being in my face talking about he needs more points, he needs more minutes than Isaiah. It's not working in our offense if he is. And we try to do this, and we try to put him in that situation, and it's not working for us. We're not succeeding, so we need to trade him. And unfortunately for Adrian Dantley, his big mouth and his conflicts got him in trouble with the upper brass, not Isaiah, and they traded him. And they traded him for Mark Aguirre, which again was Isaiah's. But Mark Aguirre didn't mind coming off the bench. He didn't mind doing all that stuff. He didn't mind putting in hard, gritty minutes. He didn't mind doing that. So if you got a player that's out there dedicated to a situation for a player that's, abusing everybody because he's not the guy on the team, I mean, who are you going to choose? You know what I'm saying? So I don't blame anybody for the trade. Dantley might call it a blame, but I don't blame anybody. Dude, if you weren't so boisterous about being number one on the team and not and being a selfish dude, then you should be thankful. You had very good years in Utah. Utah is where they needed you. Utah didn't have any superstars at the time that he got there, and he was a superstar. And he went in there and did what he had to do for 7 years, and he became one of their all-time great players in Utah. So I don't think that was. I think that was a business decision. I think it was something that actually helped the Pistons get over the hump. Kind of like the Rasheed Wallace trade in 2000s, in the 2004 season when they got him. He elevated that Pistons team. The same thing here with you take a player away, you can elevate the team because now you have a continuity among your players. Like I told you before, Chuck Daly likes continuity. I told you this before, Jack, about the Olympic thing. He likes continuity. He doesn't want to hear people complaining about stuff. And this is the big thing, reason why, people say that, oh, why didn't he step in for Isaiah? Because that was his player on his team. Because Dantley wasn't a conflicted person. He didn't want all that conflict. Just play basketball. That's what we're here to do. That's where I'm here to coach. I don't want to be in all that politics stuff. So if the players don't want you on the team, they don't want you on the team. That's all there is to it. I can't say nothing about it. It's about what they want. It's about the continuity they had. I mean, they won gold medals anyway. They were probably going to win. Even if they didn't have Michael Jordan, they would have won a gold medal because that team was dominant. It was the beginning of using professional athletes and basketball. And they were just killing everybody anyway. So it didn't make a difference who played on that team. If they were professional basketball players and they were good professional basketball players, they would have dominated the Olympics anyway. The point of the matter is that Chuck Daly doesn't like conflict. And that was Adrian Dantley. So Adrian Dantley, he moved on. They got the microwave. And now they could have went to 4 championships if you look at it. But they could have been 4-time champions, but at the same time, they elevated their team. So because of that trade, and it is what it is. And Dantley's the one that's being petty about the situation. I think this one has nothing to do with Isaiah, to tell you the truth. Isaiah has a lot of points you can blame him on. You really could blame him for a lot of stuff because he has that attitude. He is kind of like we said, asshole-ish. But anyway, the point of the matter with him is this wasn't one of them. This wasn't one of them. So I think we were going to take that away from Isaiah on this one. I think it was more management that got rid of Adrian Dantley because he wasn't a fit. So I do attest to that. All right. So does anybody have anything to add to that? Jack?
No.
No, that's pretty much it. I look forward to talking football in tomorrow's show. Yeah, with the enemy back with the Kansas City Chiefs. Kind of maybe slipping a little under the radar. He got no head coaching interviews, but he's back in the Chief family. So that's kind of heartwarming to see.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah, we'll be talking about that and many other, the whole football in general. It's going to be a truncated show. Again, we're going to go down to an hour this week from 8 to 9. Because we are going to start integrating other sports into that because the NBA is going to be heating up and so is the NHL, Major League Baseball, spring training is coming up. So we're going to integrate all that into the show. Football is going to be, of course, over as far as games played. You're going to have the Super Bowl coming up and the national championship just passed, by the way. Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers being national championships. They played a hell of a gritty game against Miami. Miami gave it all they could in that game. It was a really good game. One of the best championship games I've seen in a while, too. But Indiana is your NCAA football champions. Congratulations to them. Join us tomorrow at 8 a.m. for the big football show. And then, of course, join Keith for his show afterwards at 9 o'clock. And then at 8 o'clock on Monday, it is Jack and Keith with the weekend playbook. And then at 7 p.m., it's Jack and Frank. It's all Jack all the time. Gloved fist at 7 p.m. Everybody take care. Have yourself a great Saturday. We'll catch you tomorrow.